Let's talk about today the mindset behind a successful self-publisher. Okay, let's get into it. This is the first time you see me. Hello, I'm Jase Perry. I show busy professionals how to create a second income from self-publishing. Now, I was listening to Jim Rohn this morning. If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, he's a personal development speaker from like the 70s. He's passed now, but if you haven't listened to his stuff, listen to it, because you will 100% learn something from just one of his seminars. Okay, I have it on in the morning, get my mindset right. Something stuck with what he said this morning, and I thought it could be applied to self-publishing, and it is being applied to self-publishing by me and my students. He said you need to be conscious about improving in whatever you do. Okay, so this is quite profound actually, because I think most self-publishers are just publishing. They're not consciously aware of what they're doing. So in other words, said differently, most self-publishers aren't selling books because they're not consciously trying to get good at selling books. Because if they was, they'd be selling more books. So let's talk about that for a minute. Don't worry, this will make more sense soon. I'm going to simplify it even more. Hang in there, okay? Let's talk about my profit loop method, which I teach in my program. This is the reason why my students that all started in this program, Debbie made $4,000. This is Genevieve made nearly $6,000 in a month. Ryan makes $1,000 per book. This is the reason they're able to do it, because they're all using my system, which I'll leave a link for below, where it forces you to make a conscious effort to get better at selling books. And this is how it does it. Let's get my iPad. Right. So if you imagine the first part of the profit loop method is to just publish. Now, most self-publishers get stuck before this point. They don't even publish. My system, just publish. Not concerned about how good your book is. That doesn't matter to start with. Okay. The next thing is to do it consistently. Now you're publishing more and more. So at this point here, most people can do this, but most people aren't making a conscious effort to actually get their books better. And that's where the third step comes in. And that's to improve. At this point now, you can now make a conscious effort to improve. And it only works as the third part. Because if you're trying to do this before, you get stuck where most people get stuck in. And that's the journey up to here before even publishing that darn book. And you got zero chance of making any money if you're not publishing, okay? It has to come later down the line. So if we just talk about this improvement factor here, making a conscious effort. I mean, think about it logically. Like, just say you were learning to swim. Okay, my daughter, I've moved to Mauritius now. When we came here, she couldn't swim. Right. We're surrounded by water now. We're on an island. Literally every day we swim. She just done by reps. So you think by reps, doing it often. She jumped in the pool first of all. So if you imagine jumping in the pool is the publishing bit. You just jump in, okay? You can't learn to swim without jumping in the water. You can't learn to make money for self-publishing without publishing. So you just publish, okay? Then she was swimming often, like every day, 2-3 times a day sometimes, okay? So consistently. Was she getting better at that point? Yes. Then we started learning stuff about how to swim better. She learned a bit from me. She learned a bit from YouTube. So now she's making a conscious effort to swim. And now she can swim really well. Same with you. You're publishing. You're doing it consistently. By default, you're getting better. But when you make a conscious effort to improve, that's when the improvements really come. And another thing on this conscious effort, okay? There's a difference between being a best-selling author, someone really good at creating books, and someone that's good at selling books. Say, there's difference there. There's different. You have to be conscious of the differentiation between the two. You can be a best-selling author, but it doesn't mean you're going to make any money. I can tell you how to get the bestsellers rank. You know, you see all these people saying, "I was a 6-time best-selling author, 5 books bestseller." That doesn't mean shit. Okay, I had loads of books best-selling. Literally, all you do is spend a ton of money on ads, drive it to the number one seller in this category, which sometimes is a BSR of 50,000, so it doesn't mean nothing. As soon as you get a bestseller's badge, congratulations, you're a bestseller. Doesn't mean you're making money. Most of those books, I did that too, was to drive sales momentum, wasn't making any money. So if you want to do that, that's fine. You could be a best-selling author. If you want to make money now, you need to make a conscious effort on what it takes to make money. So at this point here, this is where we make a conscious effort to improve. And that comes down to being able to sell a book to a person, real customer. And that comes down to your ability to sell a book, which comes down to first picking the right customer, so they've actually got money to pay you. Secondly, convincing them with the title and cover to buy your stuff, and what I call the persuasion stack. Basically, that whole page, your whole Amazon page, is there to convince anyone that's on the fence to buy your book. Description, A+ content, reviews, editorials, video reviews, real reviews, editorial review. Yeah, okay. So there you go. All right. So if you want to learn more about the system that my students are using to actually make sales, I'll leave a link below. Thanks for watching. I've enjoyed this one. I'll just do it raw and uncut. If you like seeing more raw and uncut videos of me just talking about KDP stuff, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.